Hello, y'all. Welcome back to another Pokemon Pocket video, and today we're back with another meta report for you all. As always, we're trying to reach 10,000 subscribers before June, and there's been such an outpour of support, so go ahead and continue to hit that like button and subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and definitely make sure to share it out with your friends as well so we can continue to grow the community. Alright y'all, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into it. We are in the prime rounds of tournaments this weekend as they're coming up here, so let's go ahead and just dive right on into the top decks that we were seeing this past week, especially this weekend. First up, a deck that needs no introduction here. We have the Giratina Darkrai EX deck. As you've been going up your climb in the ranked ladder, this is also being seen in the tournament scene as well. Currently, two Giratina and Darkrai EXs are having a perfect run in these top tournaments. So it's kind of wild to see a deck this dominant, but we've seen the likes of this before. So I'm just kind of interested to see, like, at the end of the month, when we get new cards coming in, what's going to be the next big bad of the meta. But what we've seen before is, and we're going to see later in this video, that some decks just don't die out, and they just find different tools as the sets come out to make them really strong. So here, what do we see? Giratina emphasizing Darkrai EX, a boss that we've had before, but in combination of being able to run just Dark Energy in this deck, being able to power up with just a Giratina EX, and it was just crazy to see how people in the beginning evaluated this card because of Broken Space Bellow here. You're ending your turn and folks are just kind of like, that's bad, whatever the case may be. But as we've seen, being able to ramp up your own energy while also still doing damage onto the board, it provides a lot, and 130 hits far, and to negate that 20 damage is taken, you're using Giant Cape, you're using Pokemon Center Lady, you're using Potion here. This deck build is also running a Team Rocket Grunt and a Mars in case you take down one of these top EXs. There's a lot of health that your opponent has to get through, and once they start setting up here, they're just hitting home and hitting hard and hitting fast at that point. So really, your best bet against something like this is to power up as quickly as you can and start chipping away at them, and including yourself at own sire, so that way they can't run away once you start dealing those damage that they can't heal from. Up next, we have the Giratina EX Mewtwo EX version, where there are 3 Pokemon total, 2 Giratina EX and 1 Mewtwo EX. And so this deck is run just with Psychic Energy only. You are supercharging here by either powering up one of the Giratinas with the Psychic Energy and its ability, or you're powering up the Mewtwo here, having the Dawn ready to go. And so there's a lot of quick openings here. Being able to Dawn an attack for 50 as early as turn 2 for you is really strong here. Being able to reach and deal 60 damage with that Psychosphere can clear a lot for you all. Down there we have 2 Giant Capes and 1 Rocky Helmet, in case you were wondering how many Rocky Helmets there were in this deck. But overall, this deck is really meant to have big psychic types, and using your trainers as a means of being able to interact with what's going on the board state. Are you down in HP? Well, you can heal up with your Pokemon Center Lady, you can heal up with your potions. Are you dealing with higher HP mons and you need to chip away at them? You're using your Rocky Helmets. Are you dealing with folks who are playing non-EX decks and you need to get that extra oomph out of there? That's where you can get your Giovanni, right? Like, Giovanni clears a Sprigatito at 60 health. And being able to knock that thing out of the park. Magnemite 2 has 60 health. Being able to knock those things out of the park before they develop into their stage 2 lines is really big for this deck, and puts the opponent on the backswing as well. So this is another powerful deck here that you take a new pilot and you can definitely see some success with it. As we move away from the Giratina decks in the meta report, we are seeing a strong contending this past week and this weekend, with Glade EX showing out and showing love here. But this is really just focusing on Hitmonlee. So we can see that it is avoiding some of this. It used to run like the Marshadow, but I think this list is opting to take out the Marshadow, so that way you are getting a 1 retreat cost here. You're being able to buy yourself some time to build up into your Glade EX. You're using your Giant Cape to either keep one of your Hitmonlees as a wall, or just to get this up to 190 as well too. Having the opportunity to attack for psychic energy into these fighting decks, you know, like they're running their Riolus, they're running their Lucarios, and so being able to even just get some effective damage as you build up into your Glade EX is really nice. Having that opportunity to soften folks up with the Hitmonlee and then Cyrus things out to get cracked open for that 70 plus damage from the Glade EX is really strong with this one. Up next, we have the Magnezone Mioscada deck here. You have 2 stage 2 lines. When I first saw this, I was nervous of like playing this deck and just kind of seeing how this goes, but having Sprigatito here, you're only running grass energy with this deck because you obviously can supply your electric energy through the Magnetud, but Sprigatito serves as its own Pokemon communication. Being able to draw out those grass Pokemon with his cry for help allows you to thin your deck, allows you to get your trainers, allowing you to get your other stage 2 lines in here. So you're running the full gamut here, and being able to thin out your deck from the grass Pokemon leaves those draws for the other Pokemon to pull up. So you are getting these lines built up pretty well, and being able to attack for 130 or 150 reaches out to those Giratinas. And those Mewtwo's, you already have typing advantage against Darkrai, which is really nice to see there. Having Magnezone attack for 110 or 130 when needed. Giratina goes down to 130. So this is just like 2 strong non-EX Pokemon that can deal high damage, and you have the opportunity of really just building up on itself because of Sprigatito's Search. So this is a really strong deck. I've played it, I've ran and had some success with it, and it feels really nice. Especially if you can get energy advantage and you leave with Sprigatito, you're just kind of ball rolling and you're searching and getting through your deck at a much faster rate than your opponent. Alright, up next is this Manaphy Palkia EX deck. This is just kind of like something that I've started to see really just pop up in more places. This is a deck that is trying to avoid the only handicap that Gyarados has, in that fact that it is a stage 1-2. It has like 180 HP, it hits for 140, the energy stays there, or you lose one, but a lot of times you get to knock out the opponent, and that's the one that they needed to win the game, and Gyarados secures it and you feel great. But as we saw, we're seeing Hitmonlees out there in the world, and so Hitmonlees just like decimate against the Magikarps as it just knocks it out in 1 hit there. So by mitigating that and like trying to find your pieces, you're going straight into having Palkia EX into your origin form Palkia, building up your dimensional storms through Manaphy, through the giant capes, so that way Manaphy outlives those Giovanni hits and those 50 hits. Being able to get the extra turn of Oceanic Gift on them is really strong. Your ideal here is to power up with Manaphy, go into your origin form Palkia, hit some heads, attack for 120 damage, and then clean up things with Palkia EX, reaching out with 150 damage, or slash if you ever need to. But that's just kind of like the idea here, and then that's really great. Obviously Irida's making water survive and sustain much longer. Misty's turn 1, so you have those opportunities to be able to steal some games in that, and that kind of like makes it a good ranked deck in my opinion, being finding ways to like move through games quickly, and ranked is all about volume, and Misty is the queen of being able to finish things as early as turn 1. So overall, pretty strong deck here. Manaphy allowing it to still feel consistent and just doing water things. Up next, we have the Skarmory Magnezone deck, as we started talking about in the beginning of the video. Just like finding cards or decks that are being just retooled to fit into the new sets here, and Skarmory Magnezone has been a deck that has been played out before, but now where there's tools here to help fix that. So like we have like the Steel Magnemite, because you get to deal 20 damage. This is running steel only. We have a red here to allow you to hit for 70 or hit for 130 through the likes of a Rocky Helmet. You're also getting those chip damages off, so in that combination you're doing pretty well in taking out Pokemon. I really like to try my best to keep Giant Cape for the Magnezone, because going from 140 to 160 as a non-EX Pokemon typically means that folks aren't running Giovanni. As you saw, as we gone through this, there's only been one deck that has played it, but oftentimes that might just get cut for something else. And so being able to live a lot of things and not being affected by this plus 20 from red is pretty strong in that aspect. We did talk about this deck when we saw the Palkia EX version, but the Gyarados EX version of the Manaphy Origin Form Palkia, as Gyarados EX as your final late game sweeper, is still pretty strong. If you can get that Giant Cape on the Magikarp super early and then go right into your Gyarados EX, then you're living through a lot here. That 140 damage is massive, especially when that's like Darkrai, that's Arceus, that is Giratina if they try to attack you. Being able to hit them with a red for 160 and clear those mons through their own keep is really big here. Sabrina oftentimes wins you games, and by putting them into a position, putting your opponent into a position where you're using it as an early tempo, or even as a means of just even being able to deal 60 with this Palkia or 120 right away, getting a sneaky KO. Massive. This deck does feel very consistent. Feels like you're getting your Gyarados EX online, and when you're on to the races with Manaphy, Magikarp, Origin for Palkia, Gyarados the following turn, it's very hard for your opponent to even keep up with the amount of health and damage that you can output. Up next, we have If It Ain't Broke, Don't Fix It. This Lucario Rampardos deck is still putting in work with a little touch of Sudowoodo. Lucario being able to really put fighting on the map here with its plus 20. Rampardos being able to deal 130 damage for just one energy, and oftentimes or not, that's just doing 130 to Darkrai, leaving it at 10 HP. That is 130 to Giratina, which means that Giratina can't attack because then it's down to 20 HP, and Rampardos stays at 150 health, right? If it does not knock out a Pokemon, it does not lose that 50 health. So being able to attack these big boss Pokemon for such high health for one energy and being able to maintain yours and then clearing them out with something else is really nice here. This is running just one Pokemon communication. I don't know how that feels for consistency, but looking at the pieces here, you have your Marshadow as well, the Pokemon that's in this deck I want to have in this deck. So trying to see where we could fit more of these Pokemon communications, or even an Iono, so that way you can reach back into your fossils, can be really important to have with a deck like this. But let me know in the comments, where do you see something like that could fit in. Up next, we have the Charizard EX deck, and this was a deck that has been doing it did really well when the game came out. Then we started to see Mewtwo and Pikachu really take form of the meta in the early game, and then Charizard came back with the likes of Arcanine, and then Charizard had its ups and downs, and now with this new line with Charmander and Charmeleon, Charizard EX is like, y'all, I'm back on the map here. Having your Charmander have 1 energy attack for 20 and then 2 energy attack for 40 from Charmeleon to lead into your 3 energy attack for 60 for Charizard EX and then 4 energy for Crimson Storm. It literally, like, you are able to just attack on curve, and that's awesome. So even if you don't have your Moltres EX, you get your cards in your hand through your Pokemon communication, through your Iono, through your Professor's Research, just finding your cards, pouring through the deck, and you're getting there. This one is running the Healing Shaman and having 2 X speeds, so that way you can just go through there. The Shaman allows your Moltres EX to be bulky, right? Like that 10 healing turns Moltres into 140 HP mon to 150 HP mon to 160 HP mon, and it still just means there's a lot of opportunities for you to continue to Inferno Dance, so that way this Giant Cape can either go back on the Moltres or go on the Charizard. 200 HP, that's also dealing 200 damage. It's just a lot of just a lot to go through. So this deck has been doing wonders, and with these pieces, Iono again being able to make it feel more consistent makes it even that much more scarier. And our last deck for this week's meta roundup, we have the Metascarda Carnivine Arceus deck. Here you're really trying your best to keep it at 1 point as much as you can. You have 2 Arceus in here, 1 normal, 1 Arceus EX, because again, the reason why that's split is just you're really having Arceus EX in here for its ability to power up Carnivine to attack for just 50 damage instead of the 20, and then you're dealing chip damage for 50 at a time, and then you're having your Metascarda out there. You're really only throwing your Arceus if you need to, but you're really doing a lot of damage with your Carnivine. You're really doing a lot of your damage and your power with your Metascarda. And then when you're facing against decks that don't have EXs, you can then rely on your Arceus EX to kind of like have them go through 2 Pokemon and then the EX to finish off here. So yeah, y'all, that's this week's meta roundup. Let me know, has your deck that you've been playing ranked with, or if you've like gone into a tournament, did you see it on this week's meta report? If it's missing, go ahead, let me know what deck has been feeling the best for you down below in the comment section. And as always, y'all, please make sure that y'all hit that like and subscribe button as we try to reach towards our goal. Until the next one, y'all, we'll catch y'all. Peace.